We have seen so far what the thorn is. We have seen our reactions to the thorn. Now we come to the key weapon, or one of the two key weapons for defeating the enemy, the thorn. The title of this session, as you have on your invitation on the program, is Acceptance. Acceptance, a strength that goes beyond resilience. A strength that goes beyond resilience. There are two words that constitute the key, the backbone to helping a person affected, grieved by a thorn. They are like the two columns that sustain us when we go through a thorn: acceptance and grace. We will devote the rest of our time to consider these two main columns, acceptance and grace. So all that we're going to say from now on will revolve around these two key words. Both words, in fact, are closely related, because acceptance can only be ultimately achieved by the grace of God. Grace and acceptance are inseparable. Now, let's consider, first of all, what does it mean to accept? What is acceptance, especially from a biblical viewpoint? What does acceptance mean in the light of the biblical teaching? That's important to consider, because there are many people who react automatically, spontaneously react in a negative way when they hear the word accept. To the very mention of the word accept, they react negatively. Most times, the reason is because they have wrong ideas of its meaning, the meaning and implications of acceptance. So we need to examine in detail some of the most frequent misunderstandings. So let's consider, first of all, what acceptance is not. Four things, sorry, three. I will add the fourth one. First of all, to accept does not mean to resign oneself. This is what we could consider the Stoic fatalist version of acceptance. To accept does not mean to resign oneself. People who say, when I can't do anything else, then I have to accept. I have done all I could, I can't do anything else, so acceptance. They see the thorn as a foe, an enemy. We have to learn to live with it. I cannot get rid of the enemy, I cannot get rid of the thorn, so I have to live with the thorn. I am forced to accept. This forced acceptance, as we said, is a Stoic fatalist concept, but not a biblical concept. Nowhere in the Bible we find this idea of acceptance or patience. Secondly, the second misunderstanding: to accept does not mean to put up a shield, like a soldier who puts up the shield not to be injured in the battle. This is what we could call the Eastern or Buddhist version. To accept does not mean to put up a shield. The idea is that you have to be above good and evil. You have to be above suffering. The idea of being impassible, impassibility, to get rid of all kind of suffering, the suffering caused by your thorn. Again, this is not a biblical idea of acceptance. This is very uh, popular today in Europe because of the great Buddhist Eastern influence we have from Eastern religions, perhaps also in other parts of the world. But this is not the biblical idea of acceptance. Third misunderstanding: to accept does not imply agreement with the thorn. This is what we could call the masochist version. Some people say you have to become friend with your thorn. You have to become friend with your thorn. Remember the first misunderstanding? Seeing the thorn as an enemy. You have to resign, forced. But here, this is exactly the opposite. You have to become friend with your thorn. This is not biblical either, because God is not a sadist. We are not called to be masochist Christians. So, what is acceptance? Neither friend nor foe. According to the biblical teaching, acceptance is neither a friend nor an enemy, a foe. Friend, sorry, acceptance is an ally. An ally. You know what an ally is? The word alliance. An ally. You make an alliance with the thorn. Let's go a little bit deeper in this point. To accept means to stop seeing the thorn as an enemy, as a paralyzing obstacle, and to discover an ally in it. An enemy blocks, hinders, inhibits. An ally, on the other hand, helps, works together with us, struggles with us, stimulates our capacity to fight. Here we are at the heart, at the core of our topic. Once we are able to understand this point, we'll have gone a long way down the road toward acceptance. To accept means coming to reach the serene conviction that God can use my life, not only in spite of my thorn, but precisely through it. I will repeat this because it's one of the most important ideas I have to give you today. To accept means coming to reach the conviction, the serene conviction that God can use my life not only in spite of my thorn, but precisely through it. We imagine a dialogue with a thorn. You, thorn, the messenger of Satan, intended to harm me, but God meant it for good. The thorn, the messenger of Satan, intended to harm me, but God meant it for good. You know one thing? There is no anything like garbage material in our life according to God's view. God is the great recycler. You know that nowadays there is a great emphasis in recycling the garbage into something useful. God is the great recycler. All that we consider nonsense, garbage in our life, God means it for good. And this is what we are going to see. Now, we have seen what acceptance is not. We have seen what acceptance is in the light of the Bible. Now, the ingredients. Thirdly, the ingredients of genuine acceptance. Acceptance is a process. Acceptance is a process of inner transformation that develops on three stages, three levels of the person. It's a process, it's like a long way of inner transformation that develops at three levels of a person. There is change, there is transformation at three levels. First, we learn to see differently, different eyes. We learn to think differently, and we learned to live differently. We learned to see differently, contentment. We learned to think differently, the cognitive training according to the Bible, and we learned to live differently, adaptation, the importance of adaptation, what the world calls resilience, which in the biblical sense, it's a much broader and positive idea. Let's consider very briefly each of these points, each of these levels or ingredients of acceptance. First of all, learn to see the thorn differently. This is what we call contentment. Remember Paul's words in Philippians chapter 4, verse 11? I have learned to be content whatever the circumstances, whatever. I have learned to be in abundance. I have learned to be in poverty. I have learned to be in nice places or in bad places. I have, in all things, I am learned. So the secret of contentment lies in achieving a certain degree of independence from events and circumstances, not to be trapped by them. It's interesting that the word contentment in the original Greek in the New Testament, autarkeia, comes from this word autos, autarkeia, which means autonomy, independent. So contentment is a certain degree of independence from the circumstances, not to be trapped or paralyzed by them. Now, this means seeing the thorn from the proper perspective. What means seeing the thorn from the proper perspective? I will give you 3 practical suggestions here that will help you get this contentment, this view, this seeing the thorn from the right perspective. First, consider always the wider picture of your life. Life is like a picture. Don't focus your attention only in one part of the picture. Focus your attention, try to view the whole picture of your life. When you consider the whole picture of your life, the immediate difficult circumstances become relative compared to this whole picture. Why? This leads to my second practical suggestion. Try to discern what is essential from what is secondary. There are very few things in life that are really important. there are very few things in life that are really important. Let me go back to my own personal experience for a moment. Uh, I had to learn that one day I could lose my sight. But then this led me to focus my attention on what I think God really thinks is important in my life. Very few things are really important. So, seeing the thorn from the proper perspective, the whole picture of life, seeing that which is essential over that which is secondary, very few things are important. Thirdly, concerning our seeing, our eyes, try to glimpse God beyond the thorn. Try to glimpse God beyond the thorn. And don't forget that contentment, learning to see differently, is a long course. It's not an intensive, quick course, but a long course, not a quick lesson. Um, I don't have time to go into the second dimension, learn to think differently. But you will find almost the whole chapter on this in the book. Um, how beautiful that verse, 2 Corinthians chapter 10. We take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. Taking captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. So we have to take thoughts and make them captive. To make them captive, you have to struggle. You have to struggle with them. Otherwise, you cannot make captive and then bring it obedient to Christ. Do you know why thoughts are so important? Because the way we think, then the way we feel. Our feelings, our emotions are a direct result of our thoughts. This is why it is so important to learn to think differently. As you think, so you feel. Paul in Philippians 4, verse 8, has a wonderful verse on this cognitive training, which is in the Bible too. Everything that is good, positive. Let's, I don't have my English Bible here, but if you read Philippians 4, 8, you will notice the emphasis of Paul on what is positive, on what is good, noble, worthy of good name. In these things, you should think, meditate, consider. Our mind is like a garden where we plant seeds. The seeds are our thoughts. We need to plant the right seeds in order to water the right plants. Um, we have to disarm the negative thoughts. We have to learn to think differently. As we said, the thorn is not an enemy. The thorn is an ally that helps us learn the struggle better. So learning to see differently, learning to think differently, and learning to live differently. Adaptation. Paul, in this passage in Philippians 4:12, uh, by the end of verse 12 says, I know both how to be abased and I know how to abound. Everywhere and in all things I am instructed, I am learned, everywhere and in all things I am instructed. Contentment, adaptation. This is the essence of acceptance. Let me close this session by repeating a key concept. To accept means to coming to the serene conviction that God can use my life not only in spite of my thorn, but precisely through it.